Sued. Again, Angel Studios has just launched another lawsuit against The Chosen, and this time, it feels personal. After everything that's happened, after all the gratitude, the shared faith-based mission, the historic rise of the chosen angel is dragging it all back into court. You'd think the first legal battle would have been the end of it, but no. Instead of letting the chosen move forward, Angel Studios is tightening the grip, refusing to let go of a partnership that clearly no longer exists. And while The Chosen is in the middle of filming the most emotional and painful season yet, one that will depict the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ Angel has decided this is the moment to strike again. Why now? Why again? And what exactly do they want? Let's break it down. But be warned, this isn't just a legal battle. It's a spiritual storm, and it's far from over. The courtroom drama between Angel Studios and The Chosen has taken another shocking turn. One that nobody saw coming, not now. Not in the middle of Season 6 filming. While the cameras are rolling on the most sacred, emotionally charged moments of Jesus' story, behind the scenes, legal documents are being filed. Allegations are flying. Accusations are mounting. Angel Studios, the very company that once helped launch The Chosen into global success, is now once again pulling it into a fight for ownership, control, and possibly revenge. This latest lawsuit isn't about spreading the message of the gospel, it's about power, money, and an inability to let go. And the timing couldn't be more cruel. The heart of the new lawsuit reportedly centers around profit sharing and distribution rights again. Angel claims they're still owed something, despite previous court rulings overwhelmingly favoring The Chosen. And let's not forget, judges have already confirmed that Angel breached contracts and behaved unfairly. So why return to court? Is it about justice, or is it just a final attempt to punish The Chosen for walking away, for choosing independence, for outgrowing their first partner? From what we can gather, Angel is painting itself as the victim. They're leaning into the narrative that without them, The Chosen wouldn't exist. While it's true they played a major role early on, that chapter ended long ago. And The Chosen, under Dallas Jenkins' leadership, has grown into something much bigger, an international phenomenon powered by fans, not by corporate greed. So this lawsuit feels less like a call for justice and more like a desperate move to stay relevant in a story that left them behind. And what makes this moment even harder to watch is the toll it's clearly taking on the cast and crew. Dallas is carrying the emotional burden of directing Jesus' final moments, his betrayal, arrest, suffering, and death, while also facing a very real legal battle in the real world. How do you keep your spirit focused on telling Christ's story when you're being sued for telling it? It's heartbreaking. But what's even more disturbing is how Angel is choosing this precise moment to strike. It's not just bad timing, it feels targeted, strategic, a message. And here's the thing that's hard to ignore. Angel is supposed to be a faith-driven company. Their mission, their branding, their marketing, it all claims to be about light, truth, and righteousness. But how can you claim to walk in the light while pulling down the very project that introduced millions to the story of Jesus? This lawsuit doesn't just hurt The Chosen, it hurts the fans. The ones who paid it forward. The ones who told their friends. The ones who cried watching Mary Magdalene, or Matthew, or Peter fall and rise again. Angel's actions are making it harder for the show to continue. And that means fewer stories, more delays, and more stress on the very people who've carried this message to the world. In many ways, this second lawsuit feels like a betrayal, not just of The Chosen, but of the community that believed in it, that helped fund it, that prayed for it. Angel's refusal to move on, their insistence on returning to court despite losing, raises a very difficult question. What are they really after? And how far are they willing to go? The answers are not clear yet, but the signs are troubling. And if you've been following The Chosen from the start, you know this isn't just a show. It's a movement, one that deserves to grow without being pulled back by bitterness and lawsuits. What's truly painful in all of this is the growing sense that Angel Studios isn't just pursuing a legal claim, it's waging a slow, calculated war of attrition. This isn't about justice anymore. It's about dragging The Chosen through the mud long enough, often enough, that the project starts to bleed from the inside. Every lawsuit means more money wasted on lawyers, more time lost in courtrooms, more creative energy stolen from a team already stretched thin. And the fans, we're left in the dark, watching a spiritual masterpiece being overshadowed by corporate ambition. This isn't what The Chosen was built for. This isn't why millions of people around the world showed up to support it. It's hard to believe, that a company claiming to be grounded in faith would keep doing this. But here we are. The deeper you look, the uglier it gets. According to sources close to the production, Angel's team has even tried to interfere with current distribution efforts, attempting to complicate streaming deals, international releases, and behind-the-scenes operations. They're not just suing, they're interfering, trying to make things harder, slower, more chaotic. If that's true, it confirms the fear many already have. Angel isn't acting in good faith anymore. They're weaponizing their past involvement to keep a hand on a project they no longer have any right to control. And they're doing it while The Chosen is pouring its soul into telling the most sacred chapter of the gospel, Christ's final days on earth. You can feel the weight of it when Dallas Jenkins speaks publicly. He's careful with his words, always respectful, never retaliatory. But the pain is there. You can see it in his eyes, hear it in his voice. While filming scenes that demand emotional vulnerability, he's being forced to battle an entirely different kind of betrayal in real life. And yet, he continues. He leads. He thanks Angel Studios publicly even now. That takes strength most people can't imagine. And that's what makes this so heartbreaking. The lawsuit isn't just a legal attack, it's a personal one. And it's being fought while Dallas is trying to bring the crucifixion to life with honesty, beauty, and reverence. So, what exactly does Angel want this time? It's hard to pin down. Some insiders believe it's about residuals money. They think they're still owed. Others suggest it's about control. A last-ditch effort to prove they still have influence over The Chosen's future. But here's the thing. If the courts already ruled in favor of The Chosen, and if the original agreements have been settled, then this lawsuit serves no purpose other than disruption. It's not about helping the show. It's not about helping the fans. It's about sending a message. And the message is clear. You don't walk away from Angel without consequences. What's most disturbing, though, is the spiritual cost. For a show that has brought so many people closer to Christ, these distractions threaten to derail the mission. And not just behind the scenes. Fans are starting to ask questions. Confusion is growing. Misinformation is spreading. Some even wonder if Season 6 will be delayed or worse, derailed completely. That fear is real. And it's exactly what Angel's actions are feeding into. They're creating doubt, undermining confidence, and chipping away at the fragile trust that The Chosen has worked so hard to build with its audience over the years. You have to ask yourself if Angel Studios really cared about the message of The Chosen, about the impact it's had, about the lives it's touched. Would they be doing this? Would they be trying to drag this show through the courts while it's filming Jesus' death and resurrection? Would they choose this moment, of all moments, to fight for pieces of a past they no longer belong to? That's not how faith works. That's not how grace works. But unfortunately, it's exactly how this lawsuit feels. And in the middle of it all stands The Chosen, battered but not broken. Still moving forward, still filming, still believing. But there's no question that this legal drama is taking a toll, and fans have every right to be angry, confused, and deeply disappointed in Angel Studios for letting it come to this again. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a fight over rights. It's a fight for the future of a show that's changed lives. And right now, that future is being threatened. Again, to fully understand the damage being done, we have to rewind a bit back to when Angel Studios and The Chosen first came together. At that time, it felt like a miracle. A crowd-funded, faith-based series about Jesus. It sounded impossible, but Angel believed in it. They provided a platform, they helped with funding, and they shared in the early success. The partnership was exciting, hopeful, and for a while, it worked. The Chosen became the largest crowd-funded media project in history. Millions of people tuned in, donations poured in, churches embraced it, and then, quietly at first, cracks began to show. Behind the scenes, disagreements over creative control, money, and mission started surfacing. And as The Chosen grew more independent, building its own app, reaching a wider global audience, making its own distribution choices, Angel Studios seemed less like a partner and more like a gatekeeper who didn't want to be left behind. What began as a collaboration turned into a tug-of-war, and eventually legal lines were crossed. The Chosen accused Angel of violating contracts and claimed they were acting in ways that harmed the show's integrity. Judges agreed. The rulings came down hard in favor of The Chosen. Most companies would have taken the loss and walked away. But Angel didn't. That brings us back to today, another lawsuit, another battle, another attempt to reclaim something that isn't theirs anymore. And here's the tragic irony. Angel Studios has lost the trust of the very audience they helped create. The fans who once saw them as visionaries now see them as antagonists. What was once a platform for innovation and light has turned into a battleground of pettiness and pride. You don't sue a project twice unless you're trying to make a statement. And right now, the statement coming from Angel is loud and clear. They'd rather destroy The Chosen than admit it can succeed without them. And maybe that's the heart of the issue. Maybe this isn't about unpaid fees or leftover contracts. Maybe it's about pride. The Chosen has become something massive, something sacred, something bigger than anyone expected. And Angel Studios no longer has a seat at that table. For a company that once called the shots, that kind of loss can sting. But instead of walking away with dignity, Angel has chosen bitterness. And now, they're turning a faith-based drama about the love and sacrifice of Christ into a real-world example of what happens when ego replaces mission. Meanwhile, fans are watching this unfold with growing frustration. All they want is to support the show. They've paid it forward. They've shared it with friends and family. They've invested their hearts in these characters: Mary Magdalene, Matthew, Peter, Jesus himself. And now they're being dragged into a mess that has nothing to do with storytelling or scripture. The lawsuits are like storms on the horizon, clouding what should be a season of deep spiritual reflection. And make no mistakes, Season 6 is the season. The betrayal, the cross, the resurrection. This is the moment the whole series has been building toward, and it deserves to be told without this constant legal shadow looming over it. What makes it worse is how Angel Studios is presenting themselves to the public. In statements, they talk about protecting their rights, about defending their involvement, but they rarely acknowledge the real damage being done to the project, to the people, to the story. And let's be honest, if the roles were reversed, and The Chosen was the one launching endless lawsuits, the outrage would be everywhere. But because Angel helped start the journey, they seem to believe they're entitled to keep steering the ship even when they've already been thrown overboard. And yet, despite everything, The Chosen presses on. Dallas Jenkins continues to show grace under fire. The cast continues to show up day after day to deliver performances that cut to the soul. The fans continue to pray, to give, to believe. That's what makes this community different. It's not held together by contracts. It's held together by faith. But faith can only carry so much when lawsuits keep raining down from a company that once claimed to believe in the same mission. The sad truth is that Angel Studios could have been remembered as the launchpad for one of the most spiritually powerful shows of our time. But instead, they're writing a different legacy, one of division, of obsession, of lawsuits that distract from a greater calling. And in doing so, they risk losing the one thing that can't be bought or won in court: trust and love of the audience. As this lawsuit escalates, one thing becomes crystal clear. The Chosen is being forced to fight two crucifixions at once. One is on screen, carefully crafted with reverence and heartbreak, as the show prepares to depict Jesus' final hours. The other is behind the scenes, legal and bitter, as Angel Studios continues to hammer nails into the side of a series that simply wants to finish what it started. The parallels are haunting. Just as Jesus was betrayed by someone close, someone who walked with him, so too is The Chosen being challenged by a former partner who once stood beside it in mission and message. And this isn't just poetic symbolism. It's real, it's painful, and it's shaking the very foundation of a project that has always stood for unity, faith, and grace. Let's talk about the emotional impact. Not on numbers, not on contracts, but on people. The crew members who've dedicated their lives to this show now wake up every day wondering if their work will be buried under legal threats. The writers who pour scripture into every scene now face constant interruptions, meetings with lawyers, revisions based on legal limitations, and worries about what might be blocked or delayed next. The actors, too, feel the tension. How do you perform a scene about hope and resurrection when the real world feels like it's full of traps and betrayals? The weight is heavy, it's exhausting, and yet they continue, not because they have to, but because they believe in the message that says everything. And then there's Dallas Jenkins, the emotional cornerstone of The Chosen. In every public appearance, he carries himself with grace, thanking Angel Studios for their past, even as they try to fracture his present. That's not just leadership, that's spiritual discipline. Anyone else might lash out, might name names, might fight fire with fire. But Dallas chooses peace, even as he walks through a legal storm. And that quiet strength has become a shield for the entire production. Fans see it, they feel it, and it inspires them to keep standing with him. But make no mistake, he shouldn't have to carry this alone. He shouldn't be facing this kind of pressure while filming the most sacred story ever told. It's hard not to see the strategic cruelty in the timing. Season 6 is the emotional climax. The betrayal by Judas, the agony in the garden, the arrest, the trial, the cross, the silence of Saturday, the impossible joy of resurrection. And yet, while those moments are being brought to life on screen, Angel Studios is forcing the team into real-life anxiety, stress, and courtroom distractions. It's not just disruptive, it's destructive. And fans need to understand this. Isn't a minor dispute. This isn't a background issue. This is an active attempt to sabotage a project that's brought millions to tears, prayer, and faith. The stakes couldn't be higher, and perhaps most dangerously of all, the lawsuit is sowing confusion among the viewers. Misinformation is spreading. Some say Angel still owns the show, others claim The Chosen betrayed its backers. None of it is true, but the noise is loud. And that's exactly what lawsuits like this create: chaos. They fracture communities, they force people to pick sides. But this was never supposed to be about sides. It was supposed to be about the gospel, about Jesus, about the shared mission to tell his story in a way that resonates across generations and continents. Angel's decision to drag this conflict back into the public eye betrays that mission. And for what? A little more control, a little more attention. What Angel Studios seems to forget is that The Chosen doesn't belong to them anymore. Not legally, not creatively, and not spiritually. The Chosen belongs to the people, the fans, the ones who paid it forward, the ones who prayed over it, the ones who shared it with people who'd never stepped foot in a church before. That kind of movement can't be boxed into legal documents. It can't be contained in courtrooms. It's bigger than contracts. It's deeper than money. It's about the way someone's heart changed watching Jesus call Mary Magdalene by name. It's about the way someone's faith was restored watching Peter walk on water. That's what Angel is trying to take control of. And that's why this lawsuit matters so deeply. As we approach the release of Season 6, we do so with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. Because while we're ready to witness the powerful moments of Jesus' final journey, we're also painfully aware that another betrayal is playing out in real time. And unlike Judas, Angel Studios isn't hiding in the shadows. They're doing it openly, publicly, legally, and the only thing left to ask is, how far will they go, and at what cost? As we enter the final stretch of this unfolding conflict, the question on everyone's mind isn't just what happens next, it's asterisk, how much longer will Angel Studios keep this going? At some point, every fight reaches a point of no return, a moment where the damage being done outweighs any possible justification. And Angel has crossed that line. This second lawsuit, this ongoing obsession with control and credit, is no longer about justice, it's about pride, about ego, about refusing to admit that The Chosen has grown beyond the foundation they helped lay. But here's the truth. What Angel started was beautiful. Yes, but what they're doing now is not. It's bitter. It's aggressive. And worst of all, it's selfish. This isn't a faceless corporation suing another business. It's a group of people who once claimed to believe in this story, trying to strangle it into submission. And that's the heartbreaking irony. While The Chosen tells the story of ultimate sacrifice and humility, Angel Studios is acting out a story of selfish ambition and spiritual blindness. Their actions aren't just hurting the production team, they're hurting millions of fans, who now have to watch their favorite show suffer for reasons that have nothing to do with the gospel. There's no prayer in a lawsuit, no faith in a restraining order, no grace in a public attack. Angel Studios has chosen to walk the path of Judas, not Jesus. And fans are starting to speak out. Comment sections are filling with heartbreak. Viewers are saying what many have felt for a while. Enough is enough. People are realizing that Angel's involvement is no longer rooted in mission, but in manipulation. And the more they fight for a claim they've already lost in court, the more they expose themselves, their motivations, their tactics, their priorities. And the contrast between their words and their actions is becoming impossible to ignore. A company built on light is now casting a shadow on the very story it once claimed to elevate. But even in this darkness, there is light. The Chosen is still standing. Dallas Jenkins is still filming. The cast is still giving everything. And the fans. We're still here, watching, praying, believing, supporting. That's the miracle. That this show, this fragile, beautiful, sacred project has not been destroyed by lawsuits, betrayal, or corporate greed. It keeps moving. Like the gospel itself, it refuses to be silenced. And if anything, the attacks have only made the community stronger, more united, more committed to seeing this story told all the way to the end. And maybe that's the part Angel didn't expect. That every time they strike, the chosen doesn't fall, it rises. Every court filing, every accusation, every attempt to delay or control only makes the mission clearer. The show must go on. Not because it's a product, but because it's a message. A message that has always been bigger than any studio, any contract, any single person. And when you try to fight something that's truly built on faith, you may win in court, but you lose in every way that actually matters. So what comes next? Legally, more hearings, more filings, possibly more appeals. But spiritually, the real victory is already underway. Every time someone sits down to watch The Chosen, to cry with Mary, to feel Peter's pain, to witness Jesus speak truth into brokenness, that's a victory. Every fan who refuses to let lawsuits ruin their connection to this story, that's a win. And every time Dallas shows up with grace instead of retaliation, the mission moves forward.